I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I am the Dungeon Master, and this is a very special session of Doomsday Aftermath. We are doing a solo flashback of Deep Night when Queen Mara was still the ruler of Atlantis after Aquaman died during the Doomsday Aftermath events, um, during the Doomsday events, I'm sorry. And so Queen Mara was ruling Atlantis. Deep Night was, a happy Atlantean and served the royal family as a soldier. And we're going to kind of go over some of what led to him going to the surface and joining with the Justice League Gotham. So it is a standard day under the sea. Um, all of the water is warm and the seaweeds are growing. The fish are singing show tunes as they tend to do, and everybody is more or less enjoying life, having gotten over King Arthur. I just realized that
More
his
like
name was King Arthur. Um, but anyway, he was a good ruler, whatever kind of. There was definitely still some contention, but Mara, she's of the noble line and a true Atlantean, and just overall like a really, really good leader. So everybody's, more or less happy. And as Deep Night is going about his duties, he rolls for perception. Deep Night is caught off guard, right now, your soldierly guard duties included being out on uh, like kelp seaweed patrol, like making
Sort of
sure that
like guarding the outskirts.
well, you could say that. You could also call it having to like do the gardening, the weeding. You got to go out there and get certain weeds that would seaweeds that would affect um, the balance of what you guys got going on here. You got to go pull those up. Yes, you're guarding that area, but they
I'm
don't.
also I'm also sort of like working on doing that as well, like
Yeah,
sort of like weeding as I do it.
yeah. Like so, it basically how it goes is in certain areas there's just not as much of a need for like a constant military presence. And so when they have, all of these Atlantean soldiers, they put them to work doing like civic, duty kind of stuff, and that's how they keep Atlantis um, so clean and repaired and
Yeah,
all of that, because they have all of these quote unquote free workers. I mean, they pay you guys, but
yes, it's sort of like doing double shifts.
exactly. And so, you're out there doing this, and a shadow, passes over, but you don't really notice it. Another and a third, and this time you look up and you see waves of shark riding, uh, traitorous Atlanteans under the control of Orm, the Ocean Master, as they ride their shark mounts into Atlantis. They're taking um, the seaweed route on purpose, the garden route on purpose, as they weave in between the giant fronds. Is frond the right word? The giant leaves of the seaweed that sway in the ocean current. They are almost indistinguishable, from just the shadows moving, as they're all like in this dark uniform, and they ride dark sharks. Uh, uh,
Uh, I imagine the kind of sharks that are sort of camouflage into the
hmm
environment.
Yes, exactly. Rather than like great whites that would give away their position as soon as you look up. So they're very stealthily hidden, and you're a group of like three Atlanteans out here, and you don't know where your other two guys, even are, or they're not like right next to you. You guys spread out and took an area and did everything, so you're not sure if they've seen everything, you know, uh, and all of that. You know that you have two other guards like somewhere nearby, but if you call out, then Orm and his forces will hear you. So what do
Becoming
you do?
it's deep night, sort of looking, sort of, sort of like so shocked at this, and decide to swiftly swim to the head of the thing, trying to get to the city to warn everyone.
Yeah, so you can either move really fast or try to be stealthy. But if you move really fast, then for sure they'll see you as you move towards the city. So, do you want to just take off at a sprint and for sure they'll see you, or do you want to be stealthy? Okay, you want to be stealthy. All right. So as you more slowly and cautiously, but stealthily make your way through the giant seaweed gardens and uh, all of that, you're able to, keep pace with the sharks and even like, get a little bit ahead, but you know very quickly that at this pace you're only going to be giving the Atlanteans like 30 seconds of notice.
So, in this case, Deep Knight's going to do a bit of a sneaky tactic and block the way for for these invaders.
How are you going to do that?
Simple, by using my bubble cage.
Your bubble cage is not going to stop an invading army.
Well, it can certainly be a good distraction.
For one or two soldiers.
That's hmm. This is certainly going to be difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not trying to like, discourage you. I'm just making it clear that like you'll reveal your position, you'll slow down a couple, and the rest will just continue their invasion. So, you can certainly try to think outside the box and try to slow them down somehow, do whatever, but just your bubble cage in and of itself is not going to get the job done.
Indeed, it isn't.
So you can continue moving stealthily. You can drop everything and just start sprinting. And like I said, they'll definitely see you. You can try to slow them down somehow if you have an idea. The environment's kind of left open because you'll be passing through a variety of things. So if you have an idea of like what you'd like to do, if you had a certain environment available or whatever, maybe that environment would be available. You can ask questions if you want to know anything specific to help you with your planning here. Um, you know, so what would Deep Knight like to do now that he knows that he's not really getting ahead of the army enough to, make stealth worth the effort?
What exactly is? Can I see what exactly is in my environment? Like,
Well, right now it's
uh,
giant seaweed, like in a fish tank and all that. How they have those leaves that stretch up for 20, 30, 40 feet. Um, it's like that. And of course there's coral reef cliffs and walls that surround the city of Atlantis as well.
well, Deep Night, sort of seeing the sort of seaweed everywhere and seeing how that it that he's not really catching up, and how like his thing will not do enough to slow them down. He
Right.
decides to use the environment to his
Okay.
advantage, aka stir up the seaweed so to tangle the invaders.
How are you going to get enough of them tangled?
Sort of like creating this sort of whirlpool effect where which causes the seaweed to start to tangle, like sort of like swimming in a sort of like a whirlpool pattern.
But you're up against fellow Atlanteans. They're very strong swimmers, and so, like, I'm wondering how
This isn't a
the.
matter of this isn't a matter of like swimming out of this. This is a matter of getting untangled.
I get that, but what I'm saying is they're very strong swimmers. Uh, Seaweed underwater is not like a rope that's just gonna be easily like spun around and everything. It, this stuff is very flexible and loose, and um, even if you're creating a whirlpool, like, listen, I'm saying you could probably tangle up some of them, absolutely, but enough of them are going to swim away and then attack you and kill you.
Hmm.
Like, I'm just telling you what your character would be able to deduce. Like looking at the environment, he's like, yeah, I would definitely be able to tangle some of these guys, but not enough.
Yeah, this is sort of like going through this sort of like thinking sort of games is sort of like what's going through a Deep Knight's head, and he's like, no, that wouldn't work, and he's like, or maybe like that wouldn't work, and he says things quickly and just says and just decide. But can I roll a history check if I know anything about like anything ahead of us?
Sure.
Like a history check.
Yes, yes. I said sure. I'm sorry if you didn't hear me.
So, do I roll? What do I roll?
Go ahead and roll history.
There's a technology, but I don't see a
Mm,
hit.
I don't know if technologies. Although you could roll a technology check. No, because that's for interacting with technology. I was going to say to like know what Atlantean technologies you might be able to take advantage of, but that'd still be like history or um, general Atlantean knowledge.
Yeah. So,
Just
so
do
intellect.
intellect then if yeah. Okay, so what you would know is that Atlantis does have that bubble shield thing, um, and everybody who is an Atlantean citizen has a specially coded suit that allows them to pass through it. And if you're not from Atlantis, you can't just like get in. It's like a energy shield, you know. So they're gonna have to bypass that somehow, and so you're not really sure how they plan on bypassing that, but you do know that there's a weak point. Um, this weak point is like the ambassador's gate where like people not from Atlantis can like get in. Uh, there's honorary guards there, but it's like no army has ever like tried to breach it, but like where else would they try to breach but there? And you know a shortcut. You can get there faster than them, but you'll lose sight of them if they're not going there. But like you're real like confident that like if they can't get past the shield, then they can't attack. So they have to be planning to like go where the shield is weak.
Indeed. And Deep Knight, so realizing this, decides to breakneck speed to the using that short using C stealthily shortcutting to that area.
Okay, so yeah, you stealth your way there, and like I said, you know a shortcut, so you get there before them, and there's a few guards, and they're just kind of lazily standing around. What do you do?
I I sort of yell out and says, "Wake your lazy butts off, you you blob fish!
Oh, sir, yes.
We have incoming intruders from the right flank. It's Orm."
What? Why would Orm attack us?
It seems like he's trying to stealth his way into the city through the ambassador gates. It's our duty to is it's our duty to guard that this area and make sure he doesn't do that. You're
Yeah.
lucky I did it
So
before it's too late.
so they gather up as many Atlanteans as they can. Um, the battle is coming, and you have but scant few guards here at the gate that you could muster in time because you deduced that they'd be not that far behind you, but further behind you than if you had done it the other way. So you still did great, but um, they're coming. So you only have a few minutes to get everybody together. You do what you can. These younger or lazier recruits who ended up over here on gate guard duty, they're kind of peeing in their wetsuits as uh, you prepare them to face down Ocean Master and his forces. Um, Suddenly, from out of the seaweed forest bursts the army of Atlantean traders and sharks and other creatures. Your brave Atlantean comrades ride out in order to combat them, and together, you guys manage to like hold them off for a second. Like you're actually like slowing them down and keeping them from just flooding in through the gates. uh, but as you are doing this, Orm busts out his big guns, so to speak. um, he has a group of monsters, sea monsters that are just um, you know the worst. They are these giant whales, sharks, um, etc. But the worst one, or one of the worst ones. I don't know if it's the worst one. Uh, but it comes out and it begins to create a pattern on its skin, and it hypnotizes several of the Atlanteans, and its tentacles grab them and crush them, and this giant of the sea is a giant monstrous cuttlefish. And it is as big as a whale, and you are alone against it, basically due to the way that the battle is going. We're not going to actually roll initiative and do turns. We're just going to kind of take turns here. Um, so you get to go first. What do you do? You're already targeting him.
So, Deep Knight sort of like sees this giant cuttlefish and mutters to himself, "Of course, it's a cuttlefish." And he sort of tries to figure out how to try decides to go and wrestle it while also trying to make sure not to look at that pattern.
Wrestle it. It's enormous.
Yeah, I'm a yes. Your
It
point.
it it's too big. You could barely wrestle one tentacle, let alone the whole beast.
Okay.
One tentacle is
So
is easily like 3 feet thick. Like it's almost as thick as your leg or your arm.
in that case, I'm going to create a bubble cage to sort of
Yeah, there
partially
you go.
entrap.
There you go.
This is what my bubble cage is made for.
Yeah. It fails and you manage to catch it in your bubble cage. It is trapped for now. However, on its turn, it uh is going to hit you up with this effect. Oops, give me a second. Ah, okay. I just write versus will there. Got it. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, that did parry still. Should have said versus will. Let me see.
Is the icon the fist? Is the icon the
It
fist or the sort of
that's not how it works with NPC sheets. Sorry. Yeah, NPC sheets are different. Yeah, this should be working. Oh, wait, maybe it's like this. Haha. Yes? Oh, still versus parry. What about like this? Ah, there we go. Okay. So it tries to hypnotize you, but you resist.
Knight sort of mutters, "This isn't my first pattern. This isn't my first rodeo."
Yeah. So what do you do?
Bubble cage again to further restrict big
Okay.
fat cuttlefish.
Yep. Yep. You're basically like trying to wrap them up like a spider. Some kind of underwater spider.
The bubble cage fails to do that
Yes.
one.
Yes. And then it tries to hypnotize you again. All right. As you suffer 2 degrees of failure, you are stunned and dazed and just stand there gazing at the cuttlefish's um, hypnotic pattern. You get another save on your turn that I am doing now. And you fail to break out of it, and now it tries again. And you fail by 3 degrees and are completely captivated enough that you drop the bubble cage. The rest of the Ocean Master forces begin to overwhelm your Atlantean compatriots. The cuttlefish goes in for an attack. It hits you. You're staggered and you fall to the ground. By the time you recover, Queen Mara has fled. You don't know where she is. Atlantis has fallen. The
And Deep
the
Night can only
Go ahead.
and Deep Night can only and Deep Night can only look forward to the surface to help.
Yes, indeed. And so as you look out across Atlantis, you see like the black flag of Orm rise as the flags of Mara's royal family are torn down. It's the fall of an empire as these ancient statues and flags are torn down in favor of Orm and his grandiose ideas for how he's going to rule Atlantis and all that good stuff. Um, as Deep Knight is doing his recovery and surveillance, a broken Atlantean soldier approaches. You you tried to warn us. It wasn't enough. Orm, he swept over us like a tsunami of death and pain. His sharks, look what they did, and he holds up the stump of an arm. You can see all around you
Deep
broken.
Knight,
Go ahead.
Deep Knight sort of sees, looks at it, and just shakes his head and says, "Damn it! If only that cuttlefish wasn't in that equation." Deep Knight just sort of grips his head in shame and just says, "Right now, there's things we need to oaths of
Yes.
loyalty to the to the loyalty of Arthur and his family. We need to recover, and most importantly, we need to seek shelter. Head to the Brotherhood. Head to the house of the Brotherhood.
Yes. And so
The coordinates are
as you lead, the Atlanteans away to who need to escape, you save the lives of dozens of wounded and other soldiers who would otherwise have been hunted down and killed by Orm's forces. You're so distraught though by not being able to save the day that you cannot continue to look the broken Atlantean army in the face, and that is where Deep Night heads to the surface and we draw to a close. Actually, is there anything you'd like to say before we draw to a close?
as Deep Knight sort of manages to get the remaining troops onto into the into the house of the of the unity of the deep. He looks over to a certain sort of shrine of sorts, a shrine dedicated to the those of the clear, and to the and to the and the, to the group known as the Parliament of the Waves, and says, "O ancestors of the oceans, I truly am sorry, but as an Atlantean, know this: I will not give up until the royal family is returned to its rightful place. Right now, I must go to the land. Please bless me and hope that I am fortunate enough to make it." And he sort of bows to the altar and heads off to the surface.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And we all kind of know the story of you joining up with the Justice League after that. So, now we've gotten a good little prologue into Deep Knight's story, a little bit of his background and the day that Atlantis fell. Um, so with that, we draw to a close for this session of Doomsday Aftermath. I want to thank you for playing, Hazard. I want to thank anyone who's watching. And as always, everyone, good gaming.
Good gaming.